Most people think that they need a finance degree, an MBA, or something like that in order to understand how to trade the stock market. Well, that is simply not true because I didn't have any of that when I first started trading and investing almost, wow, 15 years ago. And if you ever wanted to know how to make money from the markets but never really knew how to do that, well, this video is for you because we're going to go over the basics of what you need to know before you enter the market, how to exit the market, and some other things that's going to help you save money and not blow your entire accounts inside of these markets. And if you stick around until the end, I'm going to talk about one thing that you can do in order to make sure that you're not like a whole bunch of other newbies who are blowing their accounts and just losing money for no reason. So make sure you stick around for that. Before you start trading, there's one mistake that you definitely need to avoid, and that is treating trading or investing like gambling. So, what a lot of people do is they hear stuff on social media, they watch shows, and they get tips from friends and all these different things that tell them to put money into some particular market. And of course, when they're right, they're like, oh, I told you so. But usually they're not right. And mainly, I don't like to put money into things that I haven't researched and vetted myself. And you should be like that as well, because after all, this is your hard earned money, and you want to make sure that you're putting it in something that's going to grow and provide returns for you over the long term. That's why we look into investing. That's why we look into trading. So when it comes to you keeping your money, not listening to other people, and just taking tips randomly is going to be the number one way for you to not lose money inside of the market, at least initially. I am building another community on School called the Consistent Profitable Traders. This is a group that is free to join. Basically, I envision having conversations about price action trading, and I do have some things in the classroom here. There will be more educational resources inside of the classroom very soon. And every month, I will have a monthly call where I'll answer questions that you may have about trading profitably. So go ahead and check out Consistent Profitable Traders on School. The link will be in the description box below. So basically, if somebody tells you to buy XYZ stock, but you don't really understand that company, you don't understand why you're putting money into that, don't do it. And that was something that I lived by. So I remember when I first started investing back in 2010, like I said, over 15 years ago now, it's crazy. But when I started investing, I had a group of friends or a group of peers at work where they were investing in these penny stocks. And I remember for weeks hearing about these stocks like, oh man, this is going to go to the moon. And, somebody put in a couple thousand and they had 1 million shares or something like that. And it sounded really cool to have 1 million shares in some sort of company. But the company that they were investing in, or companies that they were investing in, were not good companies. They were not sound companies. So for weeks, I kept hearing about these penny stocks. And then all of a sudden, I didn't hear anything about these stocks. And that's because they had lost their money. So when it comes to you understanding what you're putting your money into, that's going to be very key. So how do you actually start trading the right way? Well, I'm going to break down just a few simple steps and things that I did at the very beginning that helped me make a lot of money from the market over the years, and some of the things that I still use to this day in order to make money from the market. So understanding what you're trading is going to be the thing that's going to put you at the biggest advantage versus other people. So when it comes to trading, generally there are different vehicles or things you can put your money into. So the most common thing people know is as stocks. Stocks are basically just companies, everyday household names where they have shares for sale and you could own a piece of that company. Those are shares. That's actually one of my favorite ways to invest. Next, you're going to have forex, which is foreign exchange. And basically, these are currencies. So you have the US dollar, you have the Japanese yen, you have the Canadian dollar, you have a peso, you have a euro, you have all of these different currencies. And the cool thing about the forex market or the foreign exchange market is that you can trade these currencies against each other called currency pairs. So let's just say you wanted to trade the US dollar versus the Japanese yen. There's a market for that. Let's just say you wanted to trade the euro versus the US dollar. There's a market for that. Let's just say you wanted to trade the British pound versus the Japanese yen. There's a market for that. So if you're interested in that type of trading, that's a different way for you to trade. The other thing that I talk about on this channel are commodities. So that's gold, silver, oil, palladium, platinum, all these different things that you can put your money into as a vehicle to make money. The other thing that you could do is options trading. And this is basically like stocks' big brother. So you have to understand how stocks work in order to be able to trade options successfully. But generally, when it comes to options, you have a little bit of money that you can turn into a lot of money because you're essentially renting the shares and being able to profit off those movements. So that is actually one of my second favorite ways to invest inside of the market is by using options. And just these past few months alone, I have made really good money from the options that I've purchased and sold inside of the market. And on this channel, we will be talking more about that because I am excited about that. It's so simple, so simple. And especially if you have a full-time job like I do, I don't have time to sit in front of the markets all day. I have to work. So options, we will be talking about that very, very soon on this channel. So with all of these different options, you may be wondering, well, what should you start with? And for me, the thing I started with was shares. I bought 3 shares in Apple because it was a company that I love and still love. And I looked around my house, I had all of these Apple products. I said, okay, I've invested money into buying these products. Let me take some money and invest into the company and see how that turns out. And it obviously turned out really, really well. So now that you understand what you're trading, let's talk about how to actually buy and sell stocks inside of the market. So the first thing you're going to do is buy your first stock, and you can do that on a number of different platforms. So the easiest platform that I've used so far and still use is Robinhood. There's also TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, Interactive Brokers, and so many other companies. And I have a bunch of different accounts. None of these are recommendations, but these are things that I personally use inside of my own investing and trading. So check them out and see if you like them. So if you want to get started inside of the markets, but you don't necessarily want to risk real money, then a lot of these brokers or these companies that I just mentioned have something called paper trading or a demo account, where basically you can set up an account, you could buy shares in a company and just see how it goes. But you're not actually risking any money. This is paper money or fake money where you can just see how it plays out. And I really like this in the beginning, the very beginning, so that way I can just get used to the platform that I was using, so the broker or the website that I was using, the mobile app, and just see how things go. And I did that for a very short time before I actually purchased stock. And it was really comforting to me because I knew where all the controls were. So if that's something that's useful for you, then go ahead and do that. But if you're also on the flip side where you just want to throw some money in, you just want to get started, then you could just open up that real account and trade your actual money. But of course, in this video, we're going to talk about some other things that you could potentially look at in order to make sure that you're not just throwing your money inside of the market with no plan or direction whatsoever. So inside of these brokers, they have things called market orders and limit orders. So the market order is basically going to be whatever the price is at the moment you hit that buy button, that's the price you're going to be filled at. And that could vary from broker to broker. But there's also a limit order, and this is something that I use a lot, where basically the limit order is going to be you set a price that you want to purchase the stock at, and then once it gets to it, then it's going to execute the order or it's going to buy it for you. I use this a lot because I don't have time to sit in front of the market or sit in front of the chart and to try to catch it at the price that I want it at. So right now I'm looking at a stock and I really want to purchase it for about $99. It's a little bit higher now, maybe like 107 or something like that. So I'm waiting for it to come down. I have my limit order inside of the market, and once it hits that $99 price, then it's going to buy those shares for me. And then I also have other limit orders inside of the market as well. I also want to get it at 95. I also want to get it at 90. So if the price was to come down to 95, then I would get those shares. If it was to come down to $90, I would get those shares. So that's a limit order, and that's one of my favorite ways to enter the market. But here is where a lot of traders go wrong. They have a plan to enter the market, but don't have a plan to exit the market. And most beginning traders and investors lose money because they don't know when to get out of the market. So When it comes to exiting the market, I typically know that before I enter. So let's just say if I buy a stock at $100 and I want to lose no more than, let's just say, $10. So if we take $100, subtract $10, then we get $90. So that $90 price point is going to be my stop. And I know that when I place the trade or when I buy those shares, even if I do it much later, I could go back into the software, set that stop loss. So when it hits 90, it'll take me out of the trade. The shares will go back to the market and I will get my $90. So that's going to be something that's going to be really important to understand before you even enter the trade, when you're going to enter and when you're going to exit. So when I first took my first trade, this is something that I did when I was researching companies. So I went to Yahoo Finance, super, super simple. I typed in some companies. So let's just type in Tesla because it's talking about Elon Musk down there. So TSLA is the ticker symbol, and that's basically how you find the companies. So let's just go ahead and click on it. All right, so now that we have Tesla here, then we can look at the chart. What I did is I looked at a couple of companies that I was interested in, and I knew that I only had enough money at that time to put money into one company. So I literally came to Yahoo Finance, typed in the ticker symbol, found the company, and then I looked at all of these charts. So you can see right here, this is the 1-day chart. You can see not looking really good. Wow, that has gone down a lot. Not looking really good. And then I looked at the 5-day, still not looking good for Tesla. And then the monthly chart, okay, we have a lot more data now. We can see that the top here, it was at $427. Now it's down to $361, at least in the month. And this is a really big drop. So if I'm interested in purchasing this stock, the fact that this is going down is a little concerning, but if I really like the company and it has good long-term perspective, I may want to go ahead and buy this at a low. So not something I would really recommend to a beginner. You really want to see this as green, but this is just an example because this is a popular company right now. But let's go ahead and go to the 6-month. Okay, now looking on a 6-month, on a much longer term, now we can see that this chart is green. I like what I'm seeing. So let's go to the year. Okay, year to date, YTD. So right now I'm filming this in February and the year has just started. So we only have 2 months of data, not looking good for 2 months. So let's just go ahead and go to the year. Okay, over a year's time frame, this is actually looking really good. If we look at last year to right now, overall, it's up. So if we look at the price, it's 100, let's just say $92, and now at $361, it has jumped a lot in the past year. Okay, so this is making me feel a little bit better about this stock. So now let's go to the 5-year. Over a 5-year, it's kind of rocky, but overall, it's still green. So good. And then you can look at all and just look overall when they first issued the shares back in 2010. That's when I started investing. This was definitely not on my radar at the time, but 2010, and then it just had these really big run-ups, and then it had a really big fall, and now it's at that run-up again. So this is telling me that if I plan to hold this, let's just say for 5 years, this could be something that could be really good because the fact that it went from $47. Now they did have some splits in here, and that's a more advanced thing. But basically, let's just say if they did a 10-to-1 split for every one share that you own, they would give you 9 additional shares. So that way you can have a total of 10 shares. So that is a split. They did some of those, but hypothetically, let's just look at the prices here. It went from $51.50 roughly up to $361, which is a really, really big gain over this past 5 years. And I might be cool with the fact that in the past 5 days, in the past day, in the past month, that it's all red, especially if I'm planning to hold this for 5 years. So this is exactly what I did when I first started investing and trading. These actually turned into really long-term trades and trading inside of the market, just keeping it very simple. And if you found this to be very helpful for you as a beginner, go ahead and type the word Yahoo into the comment section below. So that way I know that you are with me at this point inside of the video. Type in Yahoo, Yahoo. Have you ever thought that you had to sit in front of charts all day in order to make money from the markets? Well, in this How to Trade with a Full-Time Job kit, I'm going to show you how to master trading in just 1 hour per day without sacrificing your job. You're going to get the strategies that I personally use in order to be able to make time in order to trade and learn and do whatever else I need to do inside of my life. So in this 31 video digital program, you're going to learn some strategies that I've used that you can confidently replicate in your own life in order to be able to trade the markets. And then I'm going to show you how to not get fired for trading and use some ethical ways in order to shine at work and build the skill. Because like you, I'm working full time and I also want to get promoted. So I'm going to show you a whole bunch of other things as well. So that way I can get the promotion, I could get trading and make money from the markets. So if you want this, go ahead and check this out. And then in order to enhance your trading experience, then you could go ahead and check out this 4 video module where I show you my most profitable candlestick patterns that I use currently inside of the market. And it's only 47 bucks. So go ahead and add this to your cart and I will see you there. So once again, like I said, if I'm looking to hold it over the longer term, then it may be something that I may be interested in. But with that being said, one of the things that traders tend to do is they go all in on a stock. So when I first made my first investment on my own, I only had $1,000 to allocate towards being able to put that into the market. I had some money in savings that was more, but I only wanted to take $1,000 from my savings and put it into the stock market. So make sure that whatever amount that you choose, you're comfortable with. And let's just say hypothetically, if that company was to close its doors, you lose 100% of that investment, that you are okay with that. And at that time, I was okay with $1,000. So you want to have that in mind. So that way, choosing the wrong company doesn't just wipe out your entire account. And now we're going to talk about risking money. So risking money inside of the market is really important to not risk too much too soon. So basically, in the example that I just gave, that $1,000, let's just say I had $10,000 inside of my savings account. I only risked $1,000. That's only 10%, and I was comfortable with that. So the amount that you choose to risk maybe much more or maybe much less. Maybe you have a bigger account and you can afford to risk a lot more inside of the market. That's totally okay. Whatever number you're comfortable with, make sure that if for whatever reason that company was to go away, that you were okay with losing 100% of that. However, it's unlikely, but just keep that in mind as you decide how much you want to risk inside of the market. So if you're serious about learning how to trade, whether long term or shorter term, then the next things you want to do is to open up that account and make sure that it has a paper trading option. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of those companies like TD Ameritrade, well, actually, TD Ameritrade has been taken over by Charles Schwab. So Charles Schwab is what you're going to be looking at, E-Trade, Interactive Brokers, all these different companies are companies that I actually do have accounts with, but go ahead and do your own research because you may find something that you like a lot more and open up that paper trading account. And then second, the strategy that I just showed just by going to Yahoo Finance and just kind of thinking through what I want to see inside of that particular company, that's the bare bones. That's how I started. And it's so simple. Anybody could do it. And the tool, just going to Yahoo, is totally free. So go ahead and do that. And then the third thing you can do is check out my free trading community. It's called Consistent Profitable Traders. You can find the link for that below in the description box in order to get some inspiration and just to pick up some different things that have worked for me and other traders inside of the community. So if you found this helpful and you want to learn how to be the best trader you can be in 2025, then go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And then also check out the other videos that I have here on this channel in order to help you as well. See you next time.